Good morning, I'm Banduli Jayasekara. My friend Faraz Shaukat Ali is on leave. He's having the best life of his time. GMO is fighting for car permits. We have more and more ministers. University students are protesting, blocking roads. What is happening to the ordinary people? I would say, God bless us. That's really what is happening. The people are suffering. As always, the politicians are having the time of their life. We thought we'll make a difference. And this, Shawan Daniel and Newsfirst, this is for you. I Have a Dream by ABBA. Sarath Kumar Singh, a friend and a senior banker and a musician from Toronto, Canada. Sarath is on holiday. Welcome to Newsline, Sarath.
Thank you, Bandul. It's my great pleasure to be with you on this program.
It's good, because good that I got to know you, but that you are here on vacation. So we thought we'll invite you and discuss Canada and your music. I mean, you started playing this instrument, which is a rare instrument, estrage, from the age of 12. What made you take up to this?
Well, it's like a coincidence. When we were like age of 12 is like the 6th grade, and we were very fortunate at the time. I studied at Thurston, and then the music master at the time, one Mr. Yogananda Balasurya, introduced the whole of the class to the entire cupboard of musical instruments and asked us to pick anything you wanted. So fortunately or unfortunately for me, I had the instrument which my sister used, which is called the estrage. I had no idea what the instrument was. So when we were asked to play, I had the hindsight to select that, and then from that day onwards, we had the opportunity of selecting any instrument, including the violin and all that. So I selected this. I think I will never regret doing that.
Yeah. And then 15 years ago, you took this estrage to Canada. Now you live in Toronto, Canada, and you took this. You're a senior banker. You have a busy life. What made you? How do you get about playing the estrage and doing such a serious job as a banker?
Well, I think you asked quite a few questions. So before going to Canada, let me backtrack a little bit. I had a busy life when I was here. I was doing the same
as a banker.
Banker. I'm actually a finance professional. I'm a chartered accountant and so on. So I had a very busy life even here. So what made me keep playing the instrument was the release of my stress by playing this for myself. Very, very selfish, but to make sure that I have my stress levels under control. But then only I was thinking, why not share this with other people, like my family and my friends.
How do the Canadians respond to this?
Well, let me now take you back to Canada. So when I went to Canada in 2001 with my family, I took my instrument and I kept doing exactly what I was doing here, but with a subtle, not actually a major difference. Now Canada, as you know, you're very familiar with the city and the country. It's a very diverse country with many nationalities calling it their home. So I am not playing or entertaining the Sri Lankan community alone. I am trying to entertain the Canadians who may be Sri Lankans.
So very diverse, like you
said.
Very,
very diverse.
How do they respond to this?
Well, extraordinarily well. It all depends as to what you play. See, if I am versatile in something, that may not be what you are looking for.
But Sarath, now see, I Have a Dream by ABBA. When you play this to the Canadians, how have they responded? Are they shocked?
Initially shocked, and they are overwhelmed by my relating what they know to this instrument. And if you really think of ABBA, right, that was like, I don't need to say that they are a great band. They were like, in the top of their trade. But if you go back to ABBA, only the 2 female singers were leading the band. So that makes estrage a very, very adaptive instrument to this, because this is almost like a female voice. Now, if
that's interesting to the viewers. I think that's something very interesting.
Yeah, you see, you might need to do a little bit of homework if you are to present yourself or your like creative work. You need to try to do something which is suitable for yourself, your instrument, or the audience.
Yeah. Sarath, let's move it, because we have to discuss a lot. Let's move into politics. Now, we've been living there for 15 years. How do you see, young Justin Trudeau moved lots of us when he received the Syrian refugees. He went to the airport in Toronto and he received these Syrian refugees. It really, in a way, I thought he gave a message. It's a good start. I know you were in Sri Lanka at that time. How do you see that? What do you think of it?
Well, it actually warrants a longer answer.
Yeah, you take your time, yes.
As you said, I was watching, I was looking at the internet and watching certain programs, and I was happy that he did that. But let's backtrack again. When Stephen Harper came into power, he was a very young leader, and lots of people looked upon him, actually looked forward, because he gave certain promises which he kept. And naturally, after 8 years, he was not young anymore.
And I saw Stephen Harper, lots of grey hairs.
Well, he had grey hair at that time.
But even more, you could see a tired Stephen Harper.
Yes. And after second term, well, it's universal to all politicians wherever you live.
Like what happened here?
Well, politicians are very similar. Well, anything which goes with politicians are similar. So what happens to Stephen Harper after the second term? His concern was to be re-elected. So I think he changed his priorities. So, and Liberal government was probably the number 3 at the time. They were not
the
even
NDP was number 2. They were in the opposition.
Exactly. Right? For the first time in a long time, Liberal was not even the opposition. So they were number 3. Nobody had any hopes of Liberal coming into power. But then comes Justin Trudeau. Well, I do not like to go into politics, but then there was a time where Stephen Harper called him Justin only.
Yes.
Because he is the son of a great Prime Minister, Canada. Pierre Trudeau. So at one point, he didn't even look like he was ready for that kind of a great job. But people wanted him because he is new blood.
But Canada got very diverse culture, community. Didn't Harper antagonize them? He antagonized the Muslims, didn't they? Muslim Canadians.
Coming back to the priorities. So at one point, Harper wanted to, my gut feel is he wanted to safeguard his vote base and he wanted for re-election certain vote basis. That may be the reason. I'm not a political expert, but this is my honest, humble opinion.
As a Canadian citizen, yeah.
When it's really somebody other than Harper may have been preferred. So it came by a coincidence. Justin Trudeau appeared, and it looked fantastic for
breath of fresh air to lots of people.
Breath of fresh air, and especially for the young. Now, I'm sure you monitor these, see the amount of the percentage of voters in this election. It was huge, because the people who stayed at home actually started voting. So I think it's universal. They wanted a change.
Same thing happens, Sarathi, the anti-incumbency,
Yes.
people, you think that you're almighty and you don't. This is what happens everywhere.
Correct. It's a phenomenon with the political arena wherever. If you name a country where it does not happen, that's very strange. So what should happen at the end is, when a person is elected, especially in Justin Trudeau, he should look back to see why he was elected.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there's a question from a viewer. He's asking, which we all know. They said Canada always follows like the tail what the US does, because the big North American, the American, I would say, the Godfather or Uncle Sam. But the viewer is asking, do you think Justin Trudeau will do something different? Or he will still have to follow America?
You have to go back to the history. I do not know what he's going to do, but what his father did was exactly what this viewer is asking.
Yeah.
Because he begged to differ in certain things, and he did not go along with the US, and so did John Kerchen. He is a person.
Now I think we need to listen to another ABBA song, and after that we'll go to a break straight away. It's Mamma Mia for you.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Welcome back to Newsline. Sarah, the producer says there's a big response from our viewers. We agreed for 3 songs. They're asking for one more after the break. I know we are going to end up with John Denver's Country Road, but what can you offer? This is the festive season. Another nice English song.
What I can think of is Leo says.
Okay, let's more. I love you more than I could say.
Yeah, because that's the softest song.
Yeah, this for all the ladies.
Well, for gents as well.
then I could say by Leo Sayer. I don't know about Sarat, we dedicate it to the ladies here. And Leo Sayer, you know, in fact I met him, he lives in Sydney now. Not so young Leo Sayer lives in Sydney, he has been a part of the Sydney musical scene. So coming back, it looks like you have been a good ambassador for Sri Lanka, Sarat, with music, sports, makes a world of a difference. It unites us. How have you done this? I mean, like, could you tell our viewers the responses you have received?
I think I touched upon this.
Yeah, but I think we
before.
need to elaborate on that. Yeah.
So what first happens is you have to do the homework as to what you are good at, and if you are trying to give exactly what you are good at to the people, that doesn't work. You have to relate it to the people and what they would like. When you say brand ambassador, I am actually taking this instrument wherever I go. My sole objective is to promote this instrument.
You take it to your bank?
I played.
Your workplace?
Well, they hosted me as well, believe it or not. The bank has 42,000 employees, and when they have some South Asian or Asian, and one person from my division promoted me for that. Well, that was the shocking experience when I was asked to play 2 songs. So I started with the song which people didn't expect, Bee Gees.
Bee Gees, yeah.
Now when I gave the CD track to the person little earlier, and he came back to me and said, "Are you sure this is the track?" I said, "Yes, that is the track." So when I sat there, the people watching me, and when the initial introduction came, there was a buzz of talk as to what is this guy going to do. So when I played that, it was amazing. The following day, when I met 1 or 2 ladies in the elevator who have never seen me before, I was not in my costume. He said, "We enjoyed that last night."
So did they think that this is what happens to be Sri Lankans, you know, whether you're Indian or Sri Lankan, what did they come and ask?
Well, that's where the promotion of Sri Lanka begins. So what they want to know what this instrument is and where are you from, and then sometimes I have to even show them in a map, this is where we are and this is where this instrument came. So it's a case of relating to people. I'm in Canada and I relate to people in Canada, whether they came from Sri Lanka, whether they came from any part of the world, because I do not speak, the instrument speaks. This language need not have any interpreters. But if I play something which they know, then they are immediately attracted to this instrument.
We have a lot to learn from Canada, even though we have a political difference about diversity, don't you think so? You are living very freely in Canada, so isn't it that you tell our viewers that we could live peacefully there?
Canada is a very diverse country, and specifically Toronto, as you quite rightly know. You don't need me to explain that, but I'm explaining.
I was there in a bad time, during a bad time.
No, you were there at the proper time. Every time there should be somebody who should fit at the time. You were the person at the time, and when you finished and gave the helm to Mr. Parnavitana, he was the right person at the time. So it's fortunate that we had these 2 people at the time and the people before as well. Yeah. So when you are in Toronto, you live with many kinds of people. Some people don't even speak the same way, and it takes time for them to understand what we say because we talk very fast. But we have to relate to all of these people, and as Sri Lankans, we actually carry our flag to other.
Or you say you call yourself Sri Lankan Canadian? Yeah, maybe.
I'm a dual citizen,
yeah.
So majority of my body is here, Sri Lanka. But then I'm a national for the last 11 years, in Canadian national. So I treat all of the people equally. I believe they do, which is very important. They do not find a difference as to where you came from.
But don't you feel sad that we have 5 communities here? I'm not blaming the common man. But you have Canada, Australia, so diverse, so many nationalities, even the US. Here 5 communities are fighting.
But they
Don't
should
you feel
not.
sad? I mean, I'm not talking about the common man, Sarathi. I mean, the politicians makes divisions for their gains. What should we do? I mean, it's very important that we are having this trilingual policy. I know Canadian national anthem is sung in French as well as in English.
And they have predominantly 2 languages, French and English. So they respect both. But if you take Toronto, it's like 99.9% English.
Yeah.
But even in Montreal,
if you go to Montreal, it changes. But what do you think the problem is in your view? You're a Sri Lankan Canadian. Why can't we coexist?
You can
5 communities find it difficult.
You have to just think back. You have to not your heart, the mind. Well, I'm a Buddhist. I strongly believe in the mind. That's all that is. Nobody can tell you what you should do. You have to sit back and think.
And you have the freedom to practice your Buddhism in Canada.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Pretty much. And we, good that you ask, I should be proud that in my town, which is called Mississauga, we have the largest Sunday school, Buddhist Sunday school in North America.
Of course, I've been there, so I remember, yeah.
But for people. Well, that, and when we have functions in Vesak and all that, we have the Prime Minister's delegates and politicians are invited, and they actually listen to our 5 precepts and chanting and all that.
Everybody takes part, whether it's Muslim, Hindu, everybody, Christians, they are together.
But one thing is that you need to show any government or any community that you are a force. That's happening in Canada because Buddhists and Christians and Muslims, if they show that they are a force to be reckoned with, then you get the respect. It applies to any
That's
party.
how the politicians come in, the vote base. That's the game.
Well, politicians are people, and people have the power. So when you have the vote, you have to think not at present. Think of your children and grandchildren.
But why can't our politicians be honorable than those politicians? Because I have my experience. I know there is a big difference. They have convoys, security, all that. Why can't we?
That may be the only difference, but I don't see much difference between politicians here and any other country.
Not much of killings and threats there, that we know.
That's the lifestyle and the society you live in. It's an evolution of the society. If we are a peaceful nation, and the politicians will do within that framework. If you have a different social scheme, and then politicians work with that. So people have to make sure that society is just by themselves. Then politicians will work within that. That's what happens in Canada. There are limits to which the politicians can do. Otherwise, the people will come and throw them out of. That's exactly what happened to Stephen Harper.
Now, did you see? You have been away for some time. Did you ever see a Dharmista society here? Did you ever see a Alutratak? Did you ever see Yahapalene? Have you seen that?
Well, those are relative. Those are terms. I see this society. Of course, sad to say, some standards have gone down. I'm not saying politically, but
Sarath, I'm sorry, you are a musician and a bank. I have to interrupt you because we have 3 minutes and we want to make the best use of your estrage. Tomorrow we will be joined by Professor Siri Kannangara. He's a veteran of sports medicine. He has arrived from Sydney. He arrived last night. So we have invited Professor Siri Kannangara to join us. He was also the doctor in charge of the Australian soccer team. He will have a lot to share with us. And we are going to end the show today with a tribute to John Denver, Country Road. Sarath.
Thank you again, Bandula, for having me. It was my pleasure.
News First Newsline with Faraz